Hello, I'm Mr. Yanoski. I'm the music teacher at School 95, which is Waterfront School, and also School 81 this year. Today, I'm going to be teaching you a unit about music from Cuba called Rumba. And that style uses a lot of what we call ostinatos. So I'll leap right into the essential question. It says, how can we make music with ostinatos? The good news is that there are really hundreds of ways of answering that question. And really none of them are wrong. First of all, you need to know what is an ostinato. An ostinato, plain and simple, is a repeated melody or rhythm pattern. Now, first of all, a melody would be a different set of pitches like this. Dum, da dum, da dum, da dum, da da dum, da dum, da dum, da dum, da da dum, da dum, da dum, da dum, da da dum. Now, I know that's an ostinato because I just heard that pattern come back 3 times. I heard the very clear beginning to the pattern and an ending to the pattern and where it repeated itself. Now, the next one about a rhythm or a beat that does that, right? And here's an example of one. So here, once again, I can hear where it starts and where it ends. Start, end. Start, end, start, end, start, end, start, end, start. And so I hear that pattern or that rhythm repeating itself over and over again. I have to make one more distinction before we get into the specific music from Cuba, and that is the difference between beat and rhythm. Now, you can call a lot of what I just did a beat. You can say, oh, that's a drum beat. And I'm not saying don't say that. But for this lesson and the ones after it, I want you to know that there is a difference between what we call beat and rhythm. Beat is a steady, unchanging pitch. It's a steady, unchanging rhythm. It sounds like this. Clap it with me. And you see how it doesn't change, right? It's got to be the same every time. This is what we call beat. Can a beat, while I'm doing this, I'll ask you, can a beat be an ostinato? The answer is yes, because it's repeating itself every way, the same time, right? Now on to rhythm. Rhythm is patterns of short and long sounds that give music motion. They don't all have to be the same length like a beat does. It could be like this, for instance. Those of you who use rhythm syllables can call it like this. Ticka-ticka-ta, 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 or 1 E and a 2, 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 or digga-digga-da, digga-digga-da, any number of systems you use. That's the difference between beat and rhythm. Now that we've done that, we could talk about what is a timeline. Timeline takes us specifically to the music from Cuba I had mentioned, rumba. Rumba is a folklorico style from the country people of Cuba, specifically Afro-Cuban people. And when I say that, I mean people who are of African descent, but are also Cuban. They speak Spanish, but their ancestors are, in fact, from Western Nigeria, mostly the Yoruba people in Western Nigeria. They have this style called rumba, which is specifically a dance style for a small group of people. And there are 3 different kinds of that. For now, I won't worry about which one I'm teaching you. I'm teaching you the slowest one, Yambu. I really want to think about what the timeline is. Now, timeline sounds like something I would use in geography class or I would use in history class, where I'm talking about a specific sort of sequence of events that happen in time. In music, it really doesn't mean that. Timeline in music class means a rhythm that is used as the basis for all other rhythms within a piece of music. And that's a piece of music that's specific to West Africa or the Caribbean. And here we're in Cuba, so we are talking about Caribbean. But like I said, those people are very much of African descent. Here is the timeline for that kind of rumba I'm going to teach you. Now you might say to yourself, Well, that sounds like an ostinato. It is, right? It's a repeated rhythm pattern. I'm playing it the same way every time. But you'll find out that this rhythm is the basis for all the other rhythms I'm going to teach you in Rumba. Let's try it by, in fact, doing it together. I'll put these down and clap it with you. Ready, go. And I'm thinking all of Rumba, every kind, all three kinds, are going to have 2 beats per measure. And I count it like this then. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. Try it. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. Now, I was told by Miss Augusto, who is the art department supervisor, to bring basically anything I could find in my house that you could make music on. So in fact, I did that. I got these sticks out of my yard. And if you feel like you don't have a set of drumsticks at home, just go outside and try to find something like this. Or if you do have drumsticks, great. Or if you don't, use pencils or use markers or whatever. What's important is that you have one in one hand, and then your strong hand holds the other and plays on top in the middle. Let's try the same rhythm. This is, by the way, called clave. Clave is the instrument, these 2 sticks. Clave plays the timeline in all forms of rumba. Here it is again. Ready, play. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. 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 Now that can be happening in a lot of different ways within the styles of rumba. We're going to try it a little bit faster because that's a pretty slow tempo I was just using. Let's try the same rhythm a little faster, this fast. 1, a 2, a ready, play. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. 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 Okay, now to make things a little more complicated, oftentimes Yambu, this slowest style of rumba, Rumba Yambu, will start with that rhythm as the clave rhythm playing the timeline, and then it drops a few of the notes to make it flow a little bit more, give it more motion. And here's what that version sounds like. Now the problem here is the beat is kind of hidden. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap my foot to the beat so you can hear where it is in relation to the clave. And I still count it very much the same way, just take out a few of those, like this. 1, and 2. 1, and 2. Try it. 1, and 2. 1, and 2. Now we'll get back to that a little bit more later. Let's end with what the next lesson will be about, and this is called tumbadora. Tumbadora is basically the lowest sounding drum that they would use in rumba. And for now, I found out, like I said, that I was going to use household items, so I took this 5-gallon bucket, and I'll basically just show you the beginning of tumbadora for the next lesson. See you soon. Hello, it's Mr. Yanoski, again for segment 2 of learning rumba using all the ostinatos that they would be using in that style. And now we're going to review just a little bit of what I talked about last time. Remember, I'd asked, how can we make music with ostinatos? And we found there are lots of ways to do that. What is an ostinato? It's a repeated rhythm or melody pattern. In this case, we're using rhythms only, no melodies right now. We know what a beat is. It's a steady, unchanging pulse. Rhythm is a combination of short and long sounds, maybe like this. Timeline is what the clave would play in rumba, the main rhythm that holds all of the other rhythms together. We said, once again, that we're learning rumba. Now, the kind I'm teaching you, there are 3 kinds. The kind I'm teaching you is called yambu. Yambu is the slowest of 3 kinds of rumba, and it's danced usually by an older woman and an older man. I was just playing what we call clave. Clave is a collection of 2 wooden sticks. They could be anything. Like I said last time, I just got these from my yard. You could use whatever you like as long as they make a decent sound. Tumbadora, that's where we're going to focus today. Tumbadora is the lowest sounding drum in a series of 3 drums that are used in rumba. In this case, I'm using a 5-gallon bucket. I figured I'd use something that you might have lying around your house or outside your house. If you don't use this, you could use a box. You could use, like I'll show you later, a drawer from your dresser. But for now, I'll use this. It sounds pretty good. I'm going to teach you the first rhythm that the tumbadora plays in the slow version, once again, called Rumba Yambu. Here it is. And I can think of this rhythm in a lot of ways, but traditionally I would think 1, a 2, and 1, a 2, and 1, a 2, and 1, a 2, and. Or in Kodai syllables, I would say ti, ti, ta, ta, ti, ta, 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 ta. For Cubans, they really think more of the sound of the drum rather than any sort of counting system that we usually use in the United States. So I would really be thinking of the sounds bass and open or tone. For anything you have, whatever it is, whether it's a dresser, cabinet, or whatever, I'm going to be thinking that the bass sound is in the middle usually. If you have a drum at home, that's even better. But it's always in the middle of the drum to push air down to the bottom. This is the bass sound. So I would really say this: bass, 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 bass. And listen to what it sounds like on a real cajon. And I'll get to that word in a moment. This is one I made myself. And here's the bass sound on this instrument. What I'm doing with my hand is I'm really pushing air out the back of the drum, and there's a hole back there that, of course, you can't see. And when I do that, I get a lower sound. Okay, back to this. The other part of the rhythm I was using, and really the more important part, is what we call tone or open. And that's at the edge, but not just the very edge with my fingertips. I really want half of my hand, where my fingers start, to touch the edge of whatever it is I'm playing, right? And so that's about where my fingers start, half of my hand, and I'm going to use that and get off the drum like it's hot, or the surface like it's hot. I want to get off it quickly. And I really think for myself, I think the syllable tone, T-O-N, tone, tone, try it, tone, 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 tone. Try it twice as fast. Tone, 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 tone. And you might have noticed that I'm left-handed. When I look at you, you could play in a mirror image of me if you are right-handed, so your strong hand would be on this side of your body as you're facing me. For people who are left-handed, it's going to be on that side when you're looking at me. But for now, just think of me being like a mirror of you, and you could use that hand to play the open sound. And this is the way Cubans would do it. Their strong hand really plays the open sound. When I put those together, here's what I get. Bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone. In super slow motion, here it is. Bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone. A little faster. Bass, 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 tone, ready, play. Bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone, bass, 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 tone. To clarify, you have 3 strokes here and then 1 stroke here. Thinking 1, a 2, and then and. 1, a 2, and, or the syllables bass, 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 tone, whatever works better for you. Let's try it one more time together. 1, 2, ready, play. Bass, 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 tone, 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 bass, 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 tone. You might be thinking, well, why did you show me that clave rhythm? Why did you show me the timeline if this is what we were really going to be doing? And the good news is that they all work together perfectly. Remember, I was telling you the timeline's function is that it's going to actually be the leading rhythm, or the rhythm that holds everything together. So I really want to be able to think of that while I'm playing this. Ta, ti, ta, ti, ta, 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 or 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. 1, a 2, a 1, and 2. Now keep in mind, I'm saying something different from what I'm playing, right? To go back and review, I was speaking this rhythm. Like I said, it's the clave rhythm, or the timeline. If you don't have a clave at home, like I said, you could use just sticks. Let's take one moment to look back at the board, and I have the cursor there on cajon. Cajon is spelled C-A-J-O-N. It literally means drawer, and I mean a drawer, like the drawer you would take out of your dresser, whether you keep socks or whatever in it. And oftentimes what we find places like Cuba is that the people who are making this music of African descent were not allowed to have instruments. So they used whatever they had around the house to make music. And that's why I thought of this lesson. I said, oh, that's perfect. If we're stuck at home with no instruments, this will work perfectly. So here I am playing the tumbadora rhythm on the cajon, which is literally a drawer from my dresser. Now, it doesn't sound the same, of course, but the rhythm is very much the same. And keep in mind that the bigger the drawer, the lower the sound. This is a pretty small drawer. So I'm going to use it later, and in fact, even in the next lesson, to teach you about what the other 2 drums, the higher sounding drums, would do in Rumba Yambu. For now, let's look at the next word. It says palito. And anyone who speaks Spanish would know ito means something small. Palo, if I take the root of the word, means tree or wood. And so I'll just tell you what palito, or little wood or little sticks, does in Rumba. More on that in the next lesson. Hi, this is Mr. Yanoski with segment 3 of our lessons on Rumba, and specifically Rumba Yambu. I'm teaching you now what's called palito. I was saying last time at the end of the lesson, palito means little wood or little sticks. And in fact, that's exactly what they are. They're just a couple of sticks I'm going to play a rhythm on that has a lot to do with what the clave plays. And remember, that is the timeline. The rhythm it plays is the timeline. Here's what palito does again. Now that looks pretty complicated, and in fact, I'm not going to lie, it's a lot more complicated than the other rhythms I showed you. But I'm going to break it down a little bit and only take a few minutes to do that. Palito oftentimes is played on the side of one of the drums that the people are playing. So in fact, you'd have another person standing or sitting next to that person and sort of leaning sideways and playing on the side of the drum. For now, I'm just going to play it on the side of my cajon here. And I'll do it one hand at a time, and that'll sort of help break it down and say, oh, now I think I understand what's going on here. Does that sound familiar? It should, right? Because that's one of the versions of clave that I taught you. Remember, clave is playing what's called a timeline, and a timeline is an ostinato. And here it is, right in the palito rhythm, embedded or hidden right in the middle of the rhythm. I think 1, and 2. 1, and 2. 1, and 2. And you might say, well, what does that have to do with the rhythm you were just playing before, right? It doesn't sound anything like that. Well, let me just do this. I'm going to start with the rhythm as I played it originally, palito, and then I'm going to take this hand and put it on my leg so you can't hear it as well. Here it is. There it is, right? Back. You might say, oh, gee, well, I don't know if I could figure that out. So here's what you do. You think, okay, I've got in my strong hand the clave rhythm. How many strokes is that in the pattern? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aha, most clave rhythms are in fact 5 strokes. In fact, almost all of them are. And that's what I have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I have a lot of things just filled in, like this. 1, Let's do those 3 strokes together. Ready, go. And with your hands, it would be right, left, right. Ready, go. Right, left, right. Right, left, right. Ready, go. Right, left, right. Ready, play. Right, left, right. And then 2 strokes on the right hand, like this. Ooh, sorry, 1 stroke on the right hand, then the left. So I have right, left, right, left, right. Right, left, right, left, right. Right, left, right, left, right. Go. Right, left, right, left, right. If we add one more beat, it might actually even make it easier. And you think, oh, gee, this is getting even more confusing, but maybe it's not. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Aha, I alternate strokes. I do one hand, then the other. One hand, then the other. I actually don't repeat strokes with either of my hands. Try it. Ready, go. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left, right, left. A little slower. Right, left, right, left, right, left. Right, left, right, left, right, left. And for now, that's enough of palito, because that's a complicated one. Let's do something that's a lot easier. And I just have a breadcrumb container for this. I'm going to be playing the rhythm that we play usually in what's called shekere. Shekere is just a word that means shaker, more or less. And those originally do come from West Africa, and they're all different kinds and sizes and shapes. For rumba, right, for all styles of rumba, there'd be a large gourd covered in beads. And it usually sounds something like this. Now, the good news is you can get any container from your kitchen that has rice or beans or breadcrumbs in it, And as long as it doesn't open and those things go everywhere in the kitchen because you'll be cleaning it up, make sure as long as it's closed, you should be able to make this kind of sound. And here's the rhythm. A one, rest, a one, rest, a one, rest, a one, a one, a one. And if it doesn't make sense what I'm doing with my hands, think up, down in that rhythm. Ready, go. Up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. And you have to do it kind of fast, and you do have to, in fact, toss it back kind of hard for it to make the rhythm sound on both sides, both on this side and the down side. And now come back to the clobbing, right? Playing the timeline, and it is da di da. Sorry, da di da di da 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 di da di da 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 di da di da 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 di da di da da da. So now, by now, you've already learned 4 rhythms, right? Or at least most of 4 rhythms for rumba: clave, tumbadora, which was being played on the cajon, palito, and the shekere. And I said I would show you with this little guy. What do the other drums do? Now, oftentimes the second drum is in fact called segundo. Segundo literally means second in Spanish. Primero, segundo, tercero. We only have 3 drums in rumba, and the second one, segundo, actually is going to double what the tumbadora did. So both of them would play some rhythm just like this, or something like this. And you would say, well, what about the third drum? The third drum has the most important role in a sense because it gets to communicate with the dancers. And I didn't even get to talk a lot about dancing, but I do want you to be able to see up here that I gave 2 examples of groups that play rumba. One is which is called Afro-Cuba de Matanzas, and the second called Muñequitos de Matanzas. Those are both rumba groups from the city of Matanzas, right? You can see both of them end in the same way. Matanzas is a small city in the center of Cuba, or Cuba. And I'm going to show you what that third drum might do. And this is a word that I didn't even write up there, but you might know the word improvisation. It gets to improvise and communicate with the dancers. Like in this version, I said is an old man and an old woman. And it would play something kind of like this. And that's, like I said, probably the most fun thing. And if you're doing it at home, once you watch some of these videos, maybe you could, in fact, play something like that on your cajon and enjoy. If you want to listen to a song that uses it, try Cachao's Ave Maria Morena and enjoy. See you soon.